Uh, again, hello, Mr. Robillard and Mrs. Niko Riippa, sorry.
Yeah.
He's from the Ventus Blues Band, and he's this month or this week's the guest of the band.
Yes.
Thank you a lot for your time and making some time free for us, for whose time.
You're welcome.
I'm going to start with Mr. Robillard. Mr. Robillard, you are an American producer, guitarist, composer, and a lot of more things. But maybe I forgot something, or it was very difficult for me to summarize you in a nutshell. Maybe it's better that you describe yourself in a few words of how you want you to be presented or to be remembered.
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't usually critique myself, but
Yeah, okay.
you know, I'm a blues guitarist.
What do you have to know about you? That you are a guitarist, that you're a producer, that I think a lot of people know, but there must be more things.
Well, you know, as you said, I produce recordings. I travel the world as a musician. I'm a band leader, singer, songwriter. I teach also. I teach online guitar lessons for a company called Sonic Junction. And I also like to paint. And so, you know, basically the arts are where I live.
Okay. Can we state that you were destined to become a musician, or that it was because of the environment, the way that where you lived, or the way that you lived, that you wanted to become a musician?
I responded to music as a baby in diapers. My very first memory is listening to big band music on the radio, sitting in my diapers and in the kitchen floor. That's my first memory. So music always just, all kinds of music. But I was really drawn to blues through early rock and roll and country music.
It was your first profession, musician?
Yeah, it was my first profession.
You have always been a musician, yeah?
Yeah, I spent a little over a year working in a factory, running a drill press. But that wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy that, and it made me want to be a musician even more.
It's known that you are fascinated by the way jazz, swing and blues are connected.
Yes, very
Yeah?
much.
What fascinates you in this, I call it encounter, or the meeting of the styles?
Well, blues and jazz have always been, especially in the early days, blues was always part of early jazz music. And when I started Roomful of Blues, I started it because I started collecting rhythm and blues from the 40s, 78s,
Yeah.
and I just realized that the combination of the blues plus the dance beat of swing music and then all the horns and kind of jazz improvisation on blues progressions, it just really, to me, it was the best of everything altogether.
Okay. Did the style of music also determine the choice of your instrument, the guitar?
Not really, you know. Well, maybe. We had guitars in my house when I was young. One of my brothers played a little bit, and my other brother owned a collectible Martin. So he didn't play it, but they were around the house. And I learned to play guitar because they were there, but also because the music, rock and roll, was coming into existence when I was like 7 or 8 years old. It was the mid-50s. So, you know, I heard Bill Haley and Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Fats Domino, and that just made me want to play that music.
What were the other influences that you could overview other artists that influenced you?
Oh, there's hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds, yeah.
But you know, as far as blues goes, there's so many of them. I mean, if I say one, I'm leaving out the rest. You know, people like Muddy Waters and Elmore James and B.B. King. Definitely T-Bone Walker is one of my biggest influences. A lot of the guitar players that played with horns made a big impression on me. So I started off playing, you know, the old rhythm and blues.
Yeah, yeah. You already named the Roomful of Blues, but you have also played with the legendary blues band.
Yes, yeah.
And with the Pleasure Kings. That were
Yes, that was my
three
first
bands.
trio.
Were three different bands, or
Yeah, they were all very different.
very
from
different,
each other.
just different stages in your career of different.
Well, I always liked all kinds of blues, you know, all styles, and I tried to really learn how to play all styles. So, Roomful, that was the old R&B, and then when it was legendary blues band, of course, they were Muddy Waters, you know, former band. So, you know, then I got to play Chicago blues and the Pleasure Kings. That was just for me an experiment to put my guitar in front because I was more in the band, the sound of the band with Roomful with a lot of pieces. So my manager at the time convinced me that I should put my guitar in the forefront. So, you know, that was the beginning of my trio days.
Now you are saying that every artist needs some changes in his career, in his
Oh yeah,
evolution.
you know, you have to grow. You have
Yeah.
to change and grow. I mean, for it to be interesting. You know?
Yeah.
I always say that my main purpose in life, my main job in life, is to try to not be bored.
Yeah.
Myself, because I know if I bore myself, I'm going to bore other people too.
That's what
you
my
know?
wife always says. Okay, welcome Mr. Juho Kinaret,
Hey,
also
Thanks.
from the Wenders Blues Band. But one more question for Mr. Robillard, and then I have some questions for the band. I found some other milestones, Mr. Robillard. The famous Thunderbirds
Oh yes,
you've played with.
yes.
I found somewhere that you have also played a time with Tom Waits. Is that true, though?
Yes, I toured with him in 2006 as his guitarist.
Yes. And on a CD or LP of Bob Dylan.
Yes, I played on Bob Dylan's Time Out of Mind album. And I also played in his band for a short while.
Short while you
Yeah,
toured
just
with him.
3 months.
Yeah,
You know, but
yeah. Did I forget somebody? But because maybe.
I played a lot with a lot of people,
Yeah.
so you know, those are I think the main ones.
Do you still have open items or still people that you want to play with? I call it on your bucket list. Maybe that you say that's the one.
Unfortunately, most of the people I really want to play with
Yes,
they're not alive anymore. You know,
Oh,
that's you know, and I'm sure there's people I would love to play with, but you know, the ones that that influenced me that I'd like to play with are all gone. You know, they're all passed away.
okay.
But somebody like Ry Cooder, I'd love to play with Ry Cooder. You know, he's somebody that just popped into my head as being an interesting and eclectic
Yeah, very
blues-based musician.
So we can now welcome the Wenders Blues Band.
Yes.
They're not complete because they are with 5 guys, I think, or
yeah,
Five
but,
guys,
but we
yeah.
we are a 5-piece band.
yeah.
So
What else do we need to know about these 5 Finnish guys that play together from, I found 1986?
yes,
How this all,
we're
who began, who was the initiator or?
yeah, we was me and Robert, and we had another guitar player. Back in the '86, it was like a summer course. They were teaching music.
Young
on a
guys
campus,
and-
yeah, and they had like most of the songs were basically jazz songs, jazz standards, and we were more into the rock and roll, and so we formed a blues band, and we booked a show basically after the first rehearsal, and we named the band the Ventus Blues Band because that was the place where the rehearsal was, and we were, of course, like kids. I think I was 12 or something. I was, I started to play guitar, listen to Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix, of course, and from that it wasn't that far to because it was in the 80s. Stevie Ray Vaughan was around, and Gary Moore, Dr. Feelgood, and all that. Those guys were they were playing their music on radio, so it wasn't that weird to start a blues band. But basically, we didn't know nothing about the blues. It was just a way to play long guitar solos. so yeah, but I think we learned some of the tricks and the secrets of blues on the way.
Now, so many years later, what kind of music do you play? If somebody asks you what kind of band is the Ventus Blues Band? Is it a blues band?
I would like to say that we are a European blues band.
Yeah.
But our main influences are, of course, mainly Chicago blues and American blues. But we have played and been influenced by the guys that have came over here to play in Europe, from States, and some of them even living here, like Luciana Red, and so we're like a typical European band that's been listening to live music here in Europe and found our own way to be sincere to that blues, to that style of music.
So our idols have been like also our high school of music.
Yeah, but
like Eddie Kirkland, Louisiana Red, and Duke Robillard.
And they've played with all of them.
So now you're with two guitarists on stage.
Yeah.
Doesn't that give problems?
Problems?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's the best thing in the world for me. I love playing with two guitars. It's like horn players when they play together. They have so much to relate to, and guitar players are like that too. And some guitar players just don't fit together, but we fit together perfectly because like he'll play something and I'll just hear a few bars of it and it makes me immediately think of something that will complement what he's playing. So we complement each other very well, I think.
That's good. Like we said, you have opened for Mr. Robillard a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But what was the trigger that brought you together? Why are you so close when you're playing?
Robert, the bass player and leader, invited me to come over and do a tour and be part of the band, and I would have my section of the show where I sing some of my tunes, and I did it, and it just clicked immediately. So it was always really fun. So I always look forward to coming over here with Ventus.
What do you learn from each other? I think you're the older one, so you must learn a lot of things from Mr. Robillard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, everybody.
But can you say, I pick also things from them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The band has a great sound and style. So I learn about certain aspects of the way they approach playing their music. And they besides only blues, they have a roots rock and roll feel to them too, which is very dear to my heart because I started playing roots rock and roll, Chuck Berry and stuff like that, and they have that in their makeup too, their musical influences.
You're playing now in Europe, Mr. Robillard, but do you feel big differences playing here or playing in your home in the States? from the public, from the way we play music, from the way we believe in music?
The crowds are a little more enthusiastic here, but they're enthusiastic everywhere. Everywhere I've been, they seem to love blues.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And do you feel differences when you play with a guy from the States, because you play with a lot of guys from the States and from overseas?
Well, I think one of our good things in a band is that we are. I think we are kind of humble guys, that we appreciate the sound and style of our friends who we play with, and it's the same thing with Duke Robillard, that we like to listen his style and shape our things a little bit, that everybody feels comfortable, and then the good things happen usually.
Yeah.
And then it's fun, and you have a feeling that you are making something unique.
Yeah.
At the moment. So
Well,
all those guys, they've been really different styles, and we have picked from them different things and learn from them, different styles.
you have still also some people that you want to play with on your list, because I know that you like collaborations. You play with a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, we have the same problem with that.
Because you are
They're all
oh,
basically all gone now.
gone, lost forever.
Yeah, but we have had a chance to play with great many blues players, and we have tried to learn everything and experience all we can with them.
We have to wait till last year. Then we finally become a recording of the band with Mr. Robillard.
Yeah.
Yes.
It got a name, Too Much Mustard. I read somewhere that there's a story behind it. That's one of your stories.
It's
Mr.
got
Robillard.
to be. It's from Tom Waits.
Oh, it's
When I was rehearsing with Tom Waits for the tour that I did with him, he wanted my guitar to be more distorted, and you use a pedal for that. And so I only like a small amount of distortion, but he wanted my guitar to be very distorted.
like his voice.
And so, yeah, like his voice, exactly. And so he saw me, he kept asking me for more distortion, and I'd turn it up. But it got to the point where I didn't like the way it sounded on me, and I was kind of making a face, And he came up to me and he said, "What's the matter? Too much mustard?" Meaning it's too spicy, too...
And that was in your head.
No, it was so funny, because he's just a very unique, funny guy. He doesn't sit around thinking this stuff up. It's just the way he is, So when I told the guys, then we made a song up right on the spot after I told them that story, and it's on the record.
So you had to ask Mr. Robillard to play with you, to be the producer, and to come to the studio.
Yes.
No?
Yeah, and they came to where I live in
Yeah, to
Rhode
America.
Island.
Yeah, to Rhode Island. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all went smooth, no problems.
No,
You
it
have-
went so smooth I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
No fights at all.
And live vocals, this guy's amazing. They were live vocals. Nobody does that anymore. Not many people do it anymore. When you're actually making a record, you sing it once, and the track is good and the vocal is good, and
It's a live
done.
album, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It's a live album. So.
It's a very good album. I like it. On the album, songs of the band, songs of Mr. Robillard, but also a few covers. Who choose the covers? Because there's one special on it. Special of I name it Special Leonard Cohen.
They came with some songs planned that they wanted to do, but we also came up with things as we were recording. I suggested first we take Manhattan, and it turned out to be a good idea. It really worked well, and it was kind of improvised, just like the recording.
You don't get any reactions when you play that specific song because it's not. It's a special one. I like it. It's not a bad song, but it's a special one. That's why I ask it. So.
It's very bluesy, and especially the way we do it.
Do you have more plans for the future? Recording plans? I mean.
Well, yes, I am going to come back and have Wentus play with me on a few songs on my next album, which we're doing. I'm doing an album called Century of the Blues.
Yeah.
And it's going to start with New Orleans blues jazz, a band that I performed with back home from the 1920s style, right up to modern style. So
that's why you asked them, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be a great combination to do the more contemporary stuff with them.
I have some general questions, not a few, to complete. I always wonder what musicians do when they are not playing music. Do you have what we call hobbies or
most interesting?
do you have hobbies or things that concerns you or?
Well, if you don't play, we probably listen to music. Yeah. Well, we all have our different things, you know. I'm mostly in a mental hospital.
You put it so nicely.
Very nice.
But working. Yeah.
What was the best advice that somebody gave you? Let me start with Mr. Robillard.
Best advice. Why don't you go to Niko next? I gotta think about it.
You may take over, no problem.
When I leave the house and my friend or mom or something, have fun.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah. Well, when I started to be a blues singer, I was kind of holding back myself, trying to be something.
Yeah.
But after these guys we have played, all of them say that you just do what you feel like, like if you feel like dance, if you feel like you want to shout, just go ahead, don't think about it. And after that, it was kind of, yeah, why not? So after that it was much more easier just to be myself, and it feels pretty natural now, just to be myself, do my thing.
I have a last question also for everyone. What did you learn about yourself by being a musician?
I learned that it's probably the only thing in the world that I can do and want to do. I mean, it was just a natural thing since I was a little kid, And my mother, and when I was 7 or 8 years old, it was the beginning of rock and roll. And my mother didn't want me to have anything to do with that because she saw Little Richard or Elvis on TV. And she said, oh no, my son's not doing that.
Never.
Yeah, and I said, that's what I want to do, Mom. And, and she said, well, you can have a clarinet, not an electric guitar. And, I love clarinet now, but when I was a kid, I couldn't stand the thought of that, playing that. And I tried, but it wasn't natural for me.
Mm-hmm. It's also a difficult instrument, I think.
I think it is.
To play it good, it's very difficult, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Niko.
Yeah, to be a musician, it's the lifestyle and the way the whole scene is, especially the blues scene. There are no elbows in blues scene. Everyone helping each other and I love it. I love it because it's it's an alternative to be a pop star or rock star. It still is folk music. You get the connection with the people that comes to your gig. They're same as you, and the whole atmosphere you know, doing the stuff that we do is great. I love it. Talking to the people after the show and doing what we love the most, playing. So that's the whole package.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
You may finish.
Yeah, same thing for me. I have learned that to be a blues musician is a choice, kind of. It's a lifestyle, and you have to think about it as a lifestyle. Because if you think it as a job, you get angry of many things. But when you have this kind of blues lifestyle, you know, you get to do what you love to do, and you know, there's some minus things, some plus things, but mainly feeling happy because, you know, I'm able to do what I love to do. You know.
And yeah, I've been actually thinking about this because we play in blues music, which is folk music of United States. But we come from an area that's known for Finnish folk music, and people are sometimes asking, yeah, you have this tradition that you're a folk musicians there, and I don't know. I didn't know back then all those old songs, and I've learned it later on in my life. But I was thinking, I don't have that tradition. But when I got older, then I understood what it was. The tradition of our folk music, it was being together. It's a social thing. When we were a kid and we started the band, the older guys came and, you know, taught us songs, and we played. They came with their instruments and we played together. It was a social thing. It wasn't the songs. It wasn't the instruments. It was, you know, it's Saturday night and
playing together.
Yeah, and being together, more like a social thing. So I think that's the thing with folk music. It's not just that you play Finnish folk music or Belgian folk music. The folk music is a social thing. You get together, and that's how it correlates with the blues too, I think, in a natural way.
And blues people are the nicest people. I mean, the musicians and the audience. They're just very down to earth and nice, easy to talk to.
That's correct. Okay, gentlemen, that were my questions tonight. You're playing in Hasselt in the MOD, the Muziekdroom.
Yeah.
Not a big building, but a nice building.
Yeah.
What will be on the set list? Who is the director of the set list, of who is?
We don't have any set.
Yeah, they always say that.
It happens on stage, you know. We might figure out the first two songs just to get going and be sure you're on. I do that with my band the same way. Just so, okay, we get through those first two songs and where everybody's on the same page. Now we can just do whatever we want.
Then we start voting. Fast, slow. No, I don't want to do it. Let's do something else. Okay.
Yes, to finish with the words of Leonard Cohen. First we take Manhattan, tonight Hasselt, and maybe one day Maastricht.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.